Greetings and welcome. I am Joffrey, and today I'm joined by Vector Maximus and probably later Darkest Light. And today we're discussing what appears to be a very empty-looking map.
America, America, it's only got SOPs from
Oh boy.
sea to shining sea.
From sea to shining sea, here we go. Oh, you've got one Canadian and one American in the call. Oh boy. But Joffrey the Blackfoot? Okay. We'll see, we'll see. Alright. Welcome to more Friday Tinto Maps, the place for map lovers. Free real estate. Be quiet, Eric. No. It's not true. No. Shameless promotion. What? There's an oh, they're shilling EU4s
Using the
on
EU4
sale.
DLCs.
Oh, that's brilliant. All right. Uh, countries and societies of pops. We've got Cahokia and some boys. Um. Oh, and here's the societies of pops.
State tags in all of America currently.
Oh, they stop. Th- that's Manitoba. No, the only Plains Canada tribe they've got is in Manitoba. I don't even know who these are. No.
I talked about it earlier, but Joffrey quite literally now is on his way to Barcelona to hold Paradox Tinto at gunpoint.
Oh my gosh, guys, yeah, sorry guys. Yeah, I need to go right now to Barcelona to knock some sense into these people. What the fuck is this? What is this? Why are some of these tribes playable and they're in some line that goes up in this weird angle?
Well, these are SOPs, so.
Y- Well, the intention is that societies will possibly be playable. We don't know
Eventually,
if they
yeah.
will be on release.
They absolutely will not be based on the way they've been talking about them.
Hmm. But regardless, this is unacceptable. Look at this nonsense. They got this disgusting line that just trails off into the corner, but none of the why does it just stop? No, I don't. There's any reason that they've done
They
this.
got they got super bored reading Canadian history, and they just thought, nobody will care. It's good enough.
No one will care. No one will care. As bloody if. I'm scared now to see what the cultures are for Canada. I'm gonna go look at
It's full of
Alberta, and they're gonna have it
cultures.
full of like Montanan tribes or something. Need a big sip for this. You get the Caddo. Yeah. Mm. Well, good for you, buddy. You get to play the Caddo. Wow. Huh. Doesn't even look like the Beothuk are playable on the eastern corner of Canada, who are famous for being the first people that got wiped out from colonialism. Do you see the area map? Oh no! Oh.
It's a weird mix of, colonial borders and not colonial borders. It's a bit funky, and they do want feedback on that front. So,
Well, The last thing I guess I'll say is that from looking at this is that I appreciate at least the fact that I at least get a bunch of Huron. The Huron are all there. That's cool, but there's the Iroquois. But the Iroquois aren't settled, interestingly, and that's kind of disappointing. But I suppose when you compare the Iroquois to Cahokia, that's not really fair. So, yeah, I suppose. Biggest North American nation is near Missouri, so I guess it can't be
I
super
believe
sad.
the consensus is that the Iroquois did not unite into the Haudenosaunee Confederacy until like mid 1400s, so
Mm,
that might be why.
gosh, it's fucking Cahokia. Oh. Hmm. All right. All right. I can stop staring at it and no. I need to I need to skip through the cultures. I need to skip through the cultures.
Joffrey is smoking the copium. It's got zoomed in maps, the next two after this one, so you might be able to get higher resolution and
Oh,
such.
they actually split up all three tribes of the Blackfoot Confederacy into their own cultures. And they actually spelt because there's multiple ways that people spell the blood tribe's name, and this is the more accurate quote unquote way as well. Huh. I
It's
guess I
pretty
need to give them credit. They've got the Siksika, the blood tribe, and Picani. Uh, well, good on them, I suppose. I mean, I guess they could have moved, but they just don't seem like they're in even remotely the right spot. But, whatever. Um, well, that's cool. I'm scared to see how many people they've got. Uh, and it does continue to, um, uh, continues to really annoy me that yeah, the societies of pops end right next to the motherfuckers. The Haninin. The Haninin? Are the most northwesternly one.
They knew how to trigger you, Joffrey.
It's
You didn't say
literally everything right next to the Blackfoot. All of them.
you'll get triggered and you'll make more content then. So free advertising for them. This was their plan.
All the ones just south and east of the Blackfoot are playable. And by that I mean the societies of pops.
According to Paradox, the Blackfoot do not live in a society.
I guess not. But all of the American ones do. Whoa, great.
Well, that's not true. If you look at it, there's none on the western seaboard, none in California or in Cascadia either.
Yeah, they're all
It's like
really small, I guess.
Mississippi and West that they've got societies of pops.
They can
Well,
justify that at least
Mississippi
with
and
like,
East,
oh,
rather,
look at
that
how
has
small
all the
they are.
societies of pops. Anything West
Oh,
seems to be very, very sparse on the societies of pops.
go post all over Paradox to make them add them. I'm definitely gonna complain, but it doesn't mean anything's gonna be done. Uh, I don't know who these American tribes are that they've picked, but I'm definitely gonna give them an impassioned message with my best, well thought out response that is to the effect of, I'm from Alberta, and it's painful to see all of the Plains tribes right next to the Blackfoot be playable. And then I'll talk about all the things that the Blackfoot did do during colonialism that makes me want to play them. Uh, God damn it. The Nakota aren't playable either, though, interestingly. Huh.
None of the tribes in what becomes Minnesota are playable, or are societies of pops.
Hmm. I suppose I'm getting the impression that they did this. Um, or even a society with building walls. Shut the fuck up, Eric. God damn it. Walls. Walls. But I suspect the reason that they've done this is that they, well, okay, let me read what they've got to say. They probably talk about it a bit. Today's maps. Landowning countries. Want to read, consider feedback we received last week. Want to let you know this is our current design proposal and that we want to hear from you. What are your expectations regarding the countries that you would consider landed, and also the ones you would like to play here as either landed or as a society of pops? That's quite tricky because almost all our information comes from post 1500 accounts. And situation's very different then. Yeah. Hmm. I see. They're explaining that there's situations where some tribes could be considered a tribal land owning tag, so more advanced than a society of pops, but by a certain point. But because that's theoretically only more recently around European contact, they don't want to represent it like that. And then there's just. Mm, So you think the Alberta chair mines will be represented in the goods map? You, oh my god, oh my god, you all are such menaces.
Okay, I don't get what the joke was. What's the joke, Joffrey? Please explain.
There's people that will sometimes, like, when I talk about going to work, they will tell me, because my job lately is to sit around at a pharmacy. They 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 say good luck in the chair mines.
I gotcha.
He's making fun of my job.
It's how we deal with it.
Uh, how does one play Cahokia and you're in the middle of Minnesota, which is far from the coast, no access to the sea, and you have no neighbors? What you do is probably
We actually commented on this and said that it's actually really tough for them, and they're still trying to figure out how to make it decent and compelling because you have around you are societies of pops that you can't really interact with much. So
well, we know that you can do diplomacy with them, but you can't just colonize their land, or you can't just conquer them. Rather, you have to colonize them. Meanwhile, societies of pops can conquer each other. So, yeah, how they make Cahokia, which is supposed to be the more advanced nation, actually relevant in a landscape where the other tribes are able to conquer each other and actually grow larger. It's quite tricky, I'm sure. It's Evie, you're making it steadily more difficult for me to successfully ignore you with your Cornwall comments. I don't know how much longer I can hold out. how do you play as the United States of Cornwall? I just don't think I can resist commenting anymore. You work the foot mines? Well, normally, no, normally I am a security guard who stands in place and then when I'm lucky get to move. So this is an odd exception where next week, unless the contract ends, I'm going to be doing 5 days in a row of 12-hour night shifts just sitting around. So um, this that would mean that next week today I'll still be doing it. Um, but yeah, they're asking for feedback. Gosh, I shaved my head earlier. It's really itchy now. I really should have seen that coming. Um, well, they've explained that they're looking for feedback, which is good to know. I I guess yeah, I'm gonna try and convince them to push it a little further. I where's the is the yeah the Haida aren't either. They're just the Haida culture is on the map. It's just uh hmm. All right. Well, I suppose let's move along from the tragic opening discussing um this anti-Canadian bias. Horrible, horrible anti-Canadian bias. And then locations wise, you can vaguely make out the parallel. That's fun. And stunningly, uh basically as soon as you cross the parallel, land starts to get massively chunked off and listed as wasteland, which is pretty par for the course when it comes to Paradox and Canada.
You mean the Canadian permafrost is not fertile and lush lands for great population stores?
It does not start at the border, motherfucker.
Yeah, but most of that land is not particularly fertile. I mean, there's a reason 95% of your population lives within 100 miles of the US border.
Then why is that area full of impassables?
I mean, Canadian Shield is my only answer. It's what only thing that makes sense to me.
That's not where the shield is.
Actually, it goes surprisingly far west or
The
east, rather. God, why do I keep getting my cardinal directions mixed up? Fudge.
Canadian shield only starts like halfway up Ontario.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. I haven't looked at what the terrain is like in northern Quebec.
I just see it. I gotta look up a map of this shit. The fuck? How does it cover that much more of Ontario than I thought? Holy. Damn. Um. Okay. Eastern Canada is a lot worse off in regards to permafrost than I thought. Because in the West, damn, this is actually way more accurate than I, as a Canadian, thought it was because I didn't know. Uh, yeah, I guess because um
Yeah,
I
the
like
shield covers all of northern Quebec as well. Now
there
that I'm looking at it.
there's farming going on like to basically the northernmost reaches of Alberta, but um I didn't realize that so little of Ontario was actually good. Huh. Geez. Um, with this map, I'll have to take a look at climates and other stuff, but like Alberta, Alberta kind of throws hands when it comes to valuable land here going on. It's like, okay, I'll have to see, but again, have to see the climates and the actual terrain types and such. I'm sure that a lot of my own
Up the map of
provinces
the
step.
Canadian population density, and it actually lines up really quite well, I think, with what Paradox has done.
Oh, shut the fuck up, Armos! Take your Finnish ass back to the wilds. No, how dare you compare Finland to Canada? You're a empty wasteland. Canada, Alberta specifically, is truly valuable, very valuable land. Um, but yeah, the Pueblo being playable is very neat. All their little one state countries. I do think that I hadn't even considered it that they'd be playable. But them being having all of those different yes, cliff sides, mountain cities is really cool. It's something I only know a bit about, but it's a very nice concept that I'm pleased to see represented as actually being a settled realm, as well, despite the fact that they're going to be very difficult to make functional due to how much land they've got around them. That I don't know how you're going to. Well, we'll have to see the population numbers, but. Hmm. Provinces and areas. Oh boy. Provinces, areas. Hmm. So when you go for areas, I don't know what any of this shit means.
Yeah, probably all native names that are going to have
Winnipeg.
dynamic stuff trigger.
We got Winnipeg though. Fuck Winnipeg. Why does it get to be on the map? It's like the
That could be
worst.
an alternative, I guess. I
Winnipeg's
don't
the
know.
worst place in the entire
Native
west
and
of
origin.
Canada. Fuck Winnipeg. All my homies hate Winnipeg. Frigid landscape on the side of a cold bog. No one wants to be there. Hmm. Make it possible for any country, to help make societies that possibly become landed.
Oh yeah. So the reason why
Hmm.
is Winnipeg comes from Cree, so it's a native name.
It's not Winnipeg. It's a little different. I don't remember exactly how it's spelled or pronounced, but
Winnipe is the native one, but I guess they just turned it in. You know, whatever. It's derived from native.
they could have like called it the Red River or something. That would have been based. It's the Red River is the site of Canada's rebellion. It was so funny because this Métis guy named Louis Riel wanted the Métis to be independent from Canada, and then he raised the flag in rebellion with his like 15 dudes, and then a group of Mounties showed up, and then they caught him, and then they hung him, and then that was the rebellion. No, he was the only one that died. Winnipegging? Oh, shush! Shush! No! No! Victor, no! Moving on. Well, okay. Wow. Isn't it interesting? Area maps. Whoa. You get, uh, Western Arctic.
God, I hate how the seas and the Hudson Bay and everything stretches over the land. It drives me bonkers.
They better change that. Yeah. Um, wait. They made areas for all of those different unownable lands? Really? There's not a
Yeah, I
single
suppose there's
ownable
a
land in
handful of
Nunavik.
provinces we can see existing.
Oh wait, there is actually a couple because there's like there's some places where you
Yeah,
can
like
cross the
in
wasteland.
Nunavik, you can
Yeah,
see like 2 provinces.
mind you, they're not actually in Nunavut, but they're in Quebec, but still,
So, have you seen it yet, Joffrey?
yes. I've seen how they added all three cultures of the three different tribes that make up the Blackfoot. However, they stopped the playable countries right next to them.
Cope.
All those American tribes right next to them are these fucking Manitobans and North Dakotans are they're actual societies of pops. But the Blackfoot, the most aggressive on the northern plains Native American tribe, the tribe that's got the biggest reserve in Canada, the people that hold out the longest against anyone when it comes to colonization in North America, and yet, meh, we'll just make a funny line that goes northwest and just kind of stop right before them when it comes to
Cope.
societies. Yeah,
You knew this was gonna come.
I
You
didn't
knew
think
this was
it was
gonna
gonna
happen.
be this fucking humiliating and infuriating. I thought it was just gonna be there was gonna be like two societies of pops on the map. I didn't think that they were gonna add their cultures and say, yeah, we added their all of their different cultures and we put lots of thought in this. But
Question
we
is,
thought we'd just stop and make sure that none of the Canadian
IDs of
prairies are
pups.
playable and it's just all of the American ones.
But yeah, Joffrey, are any of the Cree playable?
Not the Western Cree.
But some of the Eastern?
No,
Darn.
none of the Cree are. Rip.
This is so sad. Just like the Blackfoot, the Cree didn't deserve this. The Blackfoot did.
Why? Why? Also, they're moved, which is really weird. They are they are oddly north, and also in the wrong order. The Six Sika are in the right spot, relatively speaking. They should be north, but the Akina, or this is the more accurate way of spelling Kainai. Um, and the Picani should be reversed, and the Kainai should be farther south. Realistically, they all should be a little further south than this, but whatever. But the Kainai are in the southwest corner of Alberta with the biggest reserve. I talk about whenever I'm talking about the dudes with the big reserve, I'm talking about the Blood tribe specifically because the Blackfoot in general make up like the whole of the Albertan reserves, almost all of them, and this
I was
makes me
surprised by Cahokia, because I could have swore it'd fallen
very.
by this point. I could have swore Cahokia would have fallen by this point. Let me check.
And the Beothuk are on the map culture-wise, but also not playable.
Oh, nope. It was abandoned by 1400. I guess it's nearing its end.
Yeah, by that you mean like 50 years.
Yep.
They got over half a century.
Series of droughts strike the area. So they're having a bad time right now.
Oh, areas gives us the Red River. Okay. Well, that's neat.
Look at that.
Motherfucking Saskatchewan.
Saskatchewan.
Motherfucking they put my house in Saskatchewan.
Glorious. Glorious. As it should be.
And then they just lumped the no. What is this?
How it was always meant to be.
Colombian interior. What is this fucking area map? Upper Missouri. There's no lower Missouri. It's just Upper Missouri with next
There's
to
normal Missouri.
Badlands.
I mean, to
Oh,
be fair, there's no East Virginia, but there is West Virginia.
okay, that's horrible. There's just
I
normal
hate that
Virginia there.
Iowa has eaten half of Minnesota.
Oh,
See, it's only showing the borders of the states from the up until the end date because I don't think anything further west of that was a proper state yet in America.
I agree that I believe that's what they've done, but they've also asked questions in the comments about this one if
Texas.
if the community wants them to follow this method, or if they want all of the colonial region to be based on geography instead.
Now, what I want to know is
Texas!
why did they do that to Texas? Why
Why?
even bother at that
Texas
point?
was a mistake, apparently. As in, it's supposed to be bigger. It's currently messed up.
Okay.
They fixed it.
Okay.
Okay, that's good.
Also, it kind of looks like Shiwabok is falling apart. Like it's like cracking at the seams.
Where is that?
West of Nothend.
Where the
Not a
pebbles
Henday.
are, and that's the reason
Yeah.
why it looks like it's cracking. It's because you can see.
Ah, those are the tags. Okay, those are the tags. Oh yeah, and you can slightly see Cahokia on Missouri.
Missouri, Iowa, Illinois, all in the middle there.
In Missouri.
Misery.
I lived in Missouri for 2 years when I was a baby. Tragic. Very sad. I was miserable. I was not actually. I was having a great time. But I'm not having a great time seeing that all the planes
Or now Saskatchewan.
are in Saskatchewan. And then
Always has been.
Athabasca, which is like, okay, that's an Albertan river, so that's kind of based, but that doesn't make up for Saskatchewan owning Calgary and Edmonton.
Joffrey, you're no longer an Albertan.
No!
You're now a Saskatchewanian.
No!
You'll have to accept it.
Search your feelings. You know them to be true.
This is so... No!
And the Blackfoot, you'll never be able to play them, Joffrey.
Dark, why?
You'll never be able to play them. It's over.
Why? They can't do this to me. They can't do this to me.
They saw your streams. They saw your streams in particular, Joffrey, and decided, you know what? Fuck this guy.
Yeah, they did. They did fuck me. They took this feels like a personal attack. This genuinely feels like someone saw my streams and is targeting me as a result, I swear. Putting Alberta in Saskatchewan. Why isn't this all in Alberta? Alberta's literally... There's more people in Alberta than the rest of the prairies combined. It's infinitely more valuable.
Somebody quickly get him the copium. He's overdosing. Or get it away from him.
No. By some miracle, you still remain in the Texas remnant state. Oh, that's great.
So
You're a Texas truther.
The real reason is probably because Saskatchewan is a more native name. Alberta is very clearly not.
That's true. That is true.
And
it might correlate more directly to wherever the native name originated than where the Canadian province did.
And while there are obviously some European names, actually quite a lot of European names on the East Coast, that's because they were colonized in this time frame. Whereas I don't think Alberta was really settled even by the end of the time frame.
Not really, no.
So that's most likely the reason.
So the HBC certainly claimed a lot. Didn't mean that they practically controlled it.
Yes, well, if we acknowledged everything the British claimed as truth, there would be nobody but the British.
But Mounties are fun.
No, actually, that's just wrong. They just did it to spite you in particular.
They did. They really did. It's really sad. Also, you get you get Western Ontario, Eastern Ontario, Northern Ontario, Northwestern Ontario, Saskatchewan.
Ontario.
Uh, uh, and then you've got so much Ontario, and it's all called Ontario so much, they even needed to add Lower Canada. Like, we have all the cardinal directions except south for Ontario, so I guess we'll just add Lower Canada.
Hey,
It
isn't
would be
Lower
a dynamic
Canada
for
where
Sony if
isn't
it's
Lower
Canadian.
wait, isn't Lower Canada where Montreal is?
Yes, I believe so.
Isn't that part of the Quebec province?
Yes,
Yeah,
I
but
do believe so.
Canada is a French term to begin with.
What is?
Well, why
Sorry?
would
What's a French term?
Canada.
Oh,
The
I
name
mean,
is French in origin.
if you ask us, it's native.
Well,
Upper Missouri and Montana. Yeah. I, I, I could have, but didn't comment about the fact that the Upper Missouri all the way up fucking
because of
here
the
for
river,
some reason.
Joffrey?
It's the
It's the
fucking
river.
river.
and upper Canada is essentially Ontario, so I guess they didn't want to name it Northwestern Upper Canada, Western Upper Canada, Eastern Upper Canada. They just went with Ontario instead. So hence why we have Lower Canada, but no Upper Canada.
Yeah, but now we can have the 13 colony. Actually, no, because I don't think Rhode Island is its own.
Good.
We can have the 12 colonies.
You can take New Brunswick. We'll give it to you. We don't want it anyway.
We should take Ontario. It was settled by Americans, anyways.
Yeah, which one? Which
All of them.
Ontario do you want? Because because as Gemalt asked, and Sam Lund was also curious about, yeah, colonial regions are areas. When you colonize an area, because when you were making a colony, you target an area. And when you finish colonizing an area, you get the option to make a colonial nation for that area. So this
you do not have to, though.
You don't
you
have
can
to.
add it to you can either add it to an existing colony or you can keep it for yourself. You don't have to spawn colonial nations. It's just your control is jack shit, so it's far more efficient to form colonial nations.
So Sam, Rhode Island exists because it was given a separate colonial charter, since a bunch of Christian minorities did not like the persecution by the essentially radical Puritans in Massachusetts, so they left and went next door to have somewhere they wouldn't be oppressed. That's why Rhode Island exists. Because the Puritans were not nice to non-Puritans.
Yeah, the Puritans can essentially be summed up as, we hate all this, religious toleration going on in Europe. We're going to go find a place where we can be discriminatory to anybody else.
The story of North American colonialism. Yeah. I do not envy them reading all these comments that they're going to be getting from people from various provinces and states going off about how this or that is done horribly, and why is California a named place on the map, but then but you get California as a named area on the map for some reason, despite how the West is normally done. But then you get Pomo,
Well,
which
California was settled at this
Honestly,
point.
I wonder why they don't just call Pomo Cascadia, since that's what it corresponds to.
there's Yeah, California was settled in the year 1337.
No, in this time frame.
So so
The Pacific
California,
Northwest wasn't early.
like British Columbia, was kind of yoinked around the coast. That makes sense. Hmm.
Yeah, the Pacific Northwest was essentially empty of colonization. People claimed it, but that was it.
Now you're gonna force me to look up when British
Evie,
Columbia was colonized.
you might as well be part of Arkansas if you're from there. It's literally called Texarkana. I am a true Texan. I am from the middle.
Yeah, apparently British Columbia didn't start getting colonized until 1858. So, yeah, like a decade outside the game's time frame. Great. You just got here. How is North America? Very cringe, but also based. There's a lot of societies of pops. It's just that none of them are Canadian. They deliberately stop and adding playable, and by playable I mean societies of pops just at Canada, because they just wanted to make sure that none of the Blackfoot tribes were societies of pops. Hmm. Hmm. The Texas is just Bowie County complaints are unfounded. We are the true Texans. The split of Virginia, 1837. Yeah, I mean that is funny now that you mention it. Like they should still lump the Virginias together. Isn't Virginia the first one? Isn't it the first colony of the 13? No? Yes? Hello? Are you guys here?
Sorry, I got distracted by something.
Oh, you Americans! Was Virginia
Yeah.
the first colony of 13?
Um, it depends on if you count Jamestown, which failed.
Hmm.
Because it was Jamestown, then Plymouth, but Jamestown failed. Plymouth barely succeeded. So,
Well, there was Roanoke before that, and that one just completely got abandoned.
Virginia and Massachusetts.
We still don't know what happened to the colony of Roanoke.
The History Channel would like to think we do.
They have theories.
Yeah, Roanoke is the one that failed and most likely got subsumed by a local native tribe. But yeah, Sam is right.
Been getting it mixed up then.
Yeah. Jamestown survived. It almost didn't, but it did.
Time to look at climates. And
There's a lot of stuff.
I live in cold, arid. Sounds about right.
I live on the border of subtropical and arid.
I am solidly
Fantastic.
smack dab in continental.
Lucky bastard. God damn.
Subtropical Oklahoma? No.
Subtropical doesn't go that far north. At least it shouldn't.
That is very funny to see, actually, yeah. I do like the oceanic though. It's
I'd say
it's about as
where
accurate
it
as we
shows
expect them to be.
the continental on the Appalachians should be about the northern border of
Yeah.
subtropical.
That's fair.
Because it's not subtropical.
I certainly wouldn't expect it to be.
They're doing this based off what's it called, the climate rating system. the Köppen climate system, and that has a bit more subgroups than this necessarily does. So there's like dry subtropical versus wet subtropical and stuff like that. So
I guess.
Hmm. It's
I
still.
think because they're removing some of those subgroups, I think Continental would fit it better.
Yeah. God damn. Subtropic is very
hot summers,
weird.
mild winters. That's what subtropical is.
You think of Oklahoma as having mild winters?
Compared to Minnesota, absolutely.
True, then we should make Minnesota Arctic.
We have way too hot of summers to be Arctic.
You don't know hot.
Not compared to the South, but that's why you're subtropical and I'm continental.
I I do find it interesting that where Calgary and Edmonton are the two cities, the two big cities of Alberta. They're in the continental zone. They're in between here. Actually, there's a chance Edmonton might be in the Arctic. It's hard to say for sure.
Armas, if only you knew about oceanic currents, of which Finland isn't having a good time with them.
Is it? There's
No,
currents
because
that
it
make
doesn't really.
It has none.
It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't get any to
Well,
warm it up.
Dirk,
I mean, it gets a
Oh,
little.
Toronto doesn't exactly get any oceanic currents either.
But the West Coast does.
Yeah, he's talking about the fact that he thinks that Toronto should be Arctic by the standards of Finland. But
It's not all latitude.
well, he's saying it's the same temperature. But I don't know. I've always
And
imagined
I'm
Finland as
inclined to
being
trust
worse than Toronto, that's for
Köppen
sure.
classification system, since it's
Oh,
Finland's
it's also
Finland's the same latitude as Alaska. Well, then no shit, your climate's worse. Wait. If it's the same latitude as fucking Alaska, well, hell yeah, it's gonna be worse.
nah. Toronto's traditionally warmer by about 10 Fahrenheit on average in September, and about 3 in January. And these are freedom units, by the way.
Yeah, it doesn't mean shit to me, but I'll take your word for it.
But yeah, it is average, slightly higher than Finland.
Only slightly though. God damn.
Like
Ronto
10
is
freedom
rough.
units.
It's 10 freedom units.
I dropped the Köppen climate map in the chat just for as a comparison source.
But can I measure it in football fields?
Unfortunately, when I typed in 10 freedom units into Google, it didn't give me what I wanted.
Darn.
-12. The fuck? You mean the average temperature in Toronto is 10 Fahrenheit?
That's probably during a certain part of the year.
Because there is no way the average temperature year round is -12 Celsius in Toronto. The average temperature here isn't even that. But anyway. Armas, am I gonna have to load up the Scandinavia map again to see it with you sometime, and just take a peek at your city? It's so great. You are clearly inferior to the superior Alberta. Inland Sea. Yeah, all that shit is just empty. All right. Damn. Excuse me?
What?
This is all. Okay. Pardon me. This is another fucking Ural situation to the extreme. The British Columbia's hills?
Yes.
Excuse me? It doesn't
Compare
even
it to the Himalayas,
plateaus.
Joffrey.
It's all hills. What?
You know, look at those glorious impassable mountains in Alaska at the very tip top, which I'm pretty sure is actually relatively flat due to glaciation, having essentially flattened everything.
This is very painful. Oh God, rip Yukon. Now that I'm actually looking at this more closely and seeing what parts of Yukon are actually ownable. Woo!
You really thought you'd be able to own the Yukon?
But you can. Just not a lot of it. You can own a lot more of Alaska than you can of the Yukon. Actually, no, not a lot more.
Surprisingly, Anchorage and Fairbanks both were continental and not Arctic.
Someone needs to be stabbed for that one.
I can get Anchorage because it's on the coast of an actual ocean, not a sea like Finland, because seas don't provide the same value as an ocean does when it comes to temperature regulation.
Well, Armas, we're if you're discussing how many people live in Yukon, my grandparents' house is wasteland, so I'll say that much. There is no that is unlivable. Mind you, my grandparents don't live in the Yukon; they live in Alberta. But right there, that's where my grandparents live. It is wasteland. And now I'm thinking, now I've got that Varangian Guard. I've got a Varangian Guard song stuck in my head because they say the words all over the wasteland in that song, and now it's stuck in my head. Oh no. I do love me some deep ocean. I do love the way that the different ocean terrains work, honestly though. I want to take a look at the locations in the west. There's actually some pretty dense location-wise areas in the west. Huh.
There's only going to be like 2 people living in each.
Yeah, the Russians can get there eventually. It'll be fine.
Yeah, you can see Alaska. You can see Russia from there.
Woo!
The Russians didn't settle it that much. I think it was like only a couple hundred even at the peak.
Yeah, that's
It's a little more than that, but it was in the low thousands, and it was spread all along the coast there, basically for modern Alaska. So yes,
It was not much.
hey, that's still more than there were native people living there to begin with, probably.
No, actually.
Oh, what happened to like 2 people in each? How many natives do you think do live there then?
Oh, well, I actually know because I read it. And do you want to know?
Yes.
Okay, it's about 43K.
43K in Alaska?
Yep.
Holy!
Almost as many people in Alaska in this start date than there are in Yukon in modern day.
yeah, it's something like if you were to remove Juneau, it would not have enough people to actually classify as a state.
No, Anchorage.
Was it Anchorage? Okay, it was either
Juneau.
or Anchorage.
No one lives in Juneau. 500,000 people live in Anchorage, and Alaska as a state has less than 1 million people.
Says the Rocky Mountains are rocky. I dispute that. I dispute that. Says the Rocky Mountains are rocky. No, they ain't.
Okay, it depends on how you measure the size of a city. Let me check. Okay, Anchorage makes up 40% of Alaska's population.
Bro, the Rocky Mountains are flat compared to the Alps in this.
Yeah, the European devs, Joffrey. What did you expect?
Yeah, that doesn't explain the Urals. Flatland is not. That's not the same as farmland, I don't think.
Yeah, no, it's different.
I'm pretty sure that flatland is. Yeah. Farmland is this vegetation.
Farmland
Yep.
is trees.
Yep. My house is exactly where the sparse is. This is exactly how Canada works in the West. It is steppe, then you get vegetation, and then it is just forest. It is just dense fucking forest. The rest of Alberta.
Beautiful.
Perfect. Perfect. And again, accurately, my grandparents' house is in the middle of an unownable forest.
And I'm just in a grassland.
Is there any farmlands though? No.
No.
Oh,
There probably will be in Central America, but it's not developed enough to put, I would guess.
there's a lot of grassland in the Yukon and Alaska though.
It's probably where the valleys are, so it's less forested.
Yeah, but it's not sparse.
Yeah. That means it has some trees. Some vegetation.
Huh. Okay.
How does it feel to know that the lands of Central Alaska are
Oh.
more fertile than your area?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like what? Yeah. It's like, oh, there's they're not
Well,
in the highlands. There's some trees. Like, well, great, but there's probably due to other reasons relating to the climate a little less vegetation there than there is in my house.
it depends on the buildup of the mountains, because sometimes the clay from mountainsides is more fertile than the dirt in the middle of the valley.
Yeah, the whole farmland terrain is something I'm not entirely sure of, like what the intention of it is, but I
But that would
guess
imply essentially mountains that aren't really mountains. And as someone who has been to Alaska, I can tell you, trees don't grow at the tops of those mountains.
I'm finding it very strange how farmland works, where it's something that seemingly appears based on how developed a region is. So it's just like somehow the land's usability in gameplay terms becomes better at game start due to before game start situations, and then nothing can change that. Theoretically, nothing can change that. Because theoretically, there isn't going to be ways that you can turn a forest into a woods tile, and then the woods tile into a grassland, and then the grassland into farmland. I mean, what are the odds you can turn sparse territory into a farmland? Yeah, I doubt you're going to be able to do any of that shit. The big yawn. Yeah. When I see farmland, okay, when I see farmland in CK3, for example, Armas, I just think of it as, oh, it is the best territory for farming. It's the most fertile lands because you'll have grassland and then you've got farmlands, and it was always like, oh, it's the best, the most good for farming, and it's like, oh, I can get behind that. That makes sense, yeah. if it's treated as just the best, but it's like there ain't no places like that in the entirety of the U.S. and Canada. I mean, I guess Big Tree. You've got Big Tree all over Canada and the U.S., but I don't know. Like, surely there's some place that they'd consider at Game Start to be farmland terrain in like Texas even. All right. Development. Yeah, that's a pretty nothing burger on here. Um. Oh, the natural harbors. You you can
Yep.
build boats on the lakes?
Yes. Yes, you can.
Why would you do that?
War canoes.
They don't connect.
I mean, the same question, why would you build them in the Caspian?
More useful than this. I'd say that's about 50% more useful than building them in even the
Fucker.
entirety of the lakes.
I think you're sleeping on the war canoes.
What are you using them for?
Go from Erie to Ontario.
Great.
He's right. LARP the War of 1812. Sail up the St. Lawrence.
Goddamn War of 1812. Y'all fucked around and y'all found out.
What do you
Projecting
mean?
trade power and control on a lake? Eh?
Baltimore and New
Yes.
Orleans say otherwise.
What do Baltimore and New Orleans say?
About us fucking around and finding out.
Y'all went up to Canada and got beat. Was more there to
What do
say?
you mean? We burned down your special building.
You burned down Canada's. Good job. We just rebuilt it. Now it
Yes.
has a better name. Because we didn't want to
Yeah.
just have New York the second.
And then you went and cried to Daddy and asked them for help. And
Yeah, we were gonna like go and torch your house on our own.
Yeah.
Y'all, you just can't handle the fact that you couldn't conquer Canada with like no people and no professional army.
What do you mean? It wasn't even Canada.
Because we had
Where's
good
Britain?
commanders and actually got along with the natives.
A bunch of the Americans wanted to annex Canada at the time, and we got beaten too handily to bother trying.
But don't give Joffrey credit. It was the British, not the Canadians. Trust.
Bro, all Americans thought that they were gonna liberate Quebec, but they never asked Quebec if they wanted to be liberated first, and the Quebecers kicked them out too.
Can't believe you wouldn't want to be liberated. We tried to give you freedom and you chose tyranny. Also, look at how cracked the Puget Sound is.
What is that?
You can probably guess what the Puget Sound is when you look at that next one of the Cascadia.
Oh,
That's where Seattle is.
ooh, and there's Vancouver. Ooh,
Look at how cracked that is for ports.
port. Is that where you make all your boats?
No, because no one's gonna have that colonized for a long time.
No, is that where America makes their boats?
No.
Oh, it's just good, but yeah, fair enough. There's another really good one up north, more northwards, but I don't think there's anything there. Shouldn't St. John's be a good? Is it not?
There were a few places that they commented in
It ain't.
the dev diary, and then they added them as good harbors, so I can't remember if St. John's was one of them.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean Halifax is there. So that's neat. Hmm. Yes, my Cascadian Empire in a playthrough, in a game where there's no Cascadians playable.
Yeah, they're just not.
Not a single one. I can bitch and moan about the Blackfoot, but I want the Cascadians too. Like what do we want? What do we want from this? Is my question. Is this good? Do you guys are you pleased with this? Is this satisfactory?
Honestly, I'm decently pleased, but I don't have a big investment in playing as American natives. I know that there are some people who are much more. The only big one that I could see myself playing that I can't currently is playing as the Iroquois. Um,
You could just play one of their tribes and unite the Confederation. The
can't play
Confederacy
SOPs at the moment.
that we know of.
No, they've repeatedly and very recently said that it is way too rough, that it's unlikely to be in the release.
SMH, TLC, lock.
There's a big difference between a group of people being unplayable at launch and them not being represented as a nation at all.
Yeah, so I don't know enough about Native American, you know, societal sophistication levels essentially at this point to judge whether it's right or not to have somebody as a settled state in SOP or just a tribal group, on a stateless people rather. So I'm fine with it as it is. Much more knowledgeable, much more opinionated than me in this, who are going to debate it until the cows come home.
And to be honest, I might not have to do anything to get my way. There's a good chance that people are going to debate them into it, but at the same time, if I don't say anything, I risk them making changes and adding more stuff, but just not adding anything that's Canadian because there aren't enough Canadians on the internet.
For me, the only North American group I care about really are the Inca, and they're almost certainly going to be represented in playable.
Yeah,
So I don't really mind this.
it's true. The Inca are going to be a thing.
Yeah, if Cahokia is playable, the Inca are going to be playable. You can play Cusco for sure.
Yes, it is going to be possible for um, it's going to be possible for societies of pops to once they've researched the required technologies and done other things, they are going to be able to become settled tribal countries. We don't know everything that's involved in that process, though. Probably, I imagine it's going to be similar to Imperator in some ways, because we know who's developing the game. So there's a good chance that Johan's going to be taking inspiration from, his baby boy and making a system based around centralization. But it is a big question as to how exactly they would make them playable and actually interesting for more than just, I'm going to go and conquer this tribe over here. I'm going to press this button that makes me get more centralization. I'm going to sit and wait for research. And cultures. Yeah. Languages.
It's all Cree. Always has been.
Fuck the Cree. Look at them. Look at them all. Good
They're
thing none of
huge.
them are playable. Look
Good
at
thing
'em all.
none of the Sika are playable.
Fuck you! Fuck you! No!
True, Joffrey. Our first game should be us playing our favorite American natives. Oh wait, you
Unironically though, imagine the Inca versus Blackfoot.
That
What
wouldn't
a
be fair.
roll! What a stomp! The only way that I can see, so like, I say that, but then on the other side of the spectrum, there's like Cahokia versus like just any tribe, because just any tribe would probably be able to become so much stronger than Cahokia due to just conquering stuff before they actually settle. Oh God, Inuit. So all that time ago when they first showed off religions, and I saw that one little spot of a different color up here, and was like, I bet that's Inuit, and I hate that. Yeah, that was true. That is just gonna be
Mhm.
that's just a one. Yeah, there are three Inuit locations in the map. One in the air, one up there, and one over there. Rip. God. Hmm. Salishan. Nice. All right. Moving along though. Religions.
Yours.
Religions. Hmm.
Ceremonial. Midu.
Ceremonial. Midu. Hopi.
So, is it just me, or do the Blackfoot have the same religion as
Don't
the
say it.
folks in Virginia
Don't say it. Oh, I thought you were
and
gonna
the
say the
Curry
Cree. No, no.
and the Curry? Wait, look, totemist. It's returned.
Wait, where?
Salesian totemism in Cascadia.
Oh no!
Yo,
Also at the very north in Labrador.
Deletion totemist, Dene totemist, Labrador,
Yeah,
normal
normal
totemist.
totemism. Yep.
Damn. Damn, they got normal totemist. Why don't they call? They should imagine if they called the Inuit religion, Inukshuk. It's just the Inukshuk faith. Uh, Assuming you know what those are. Those are the rock statues.
Of course they know what those are. They have a great project
Oh,
for a single one in EU4.
I want to die. Just the
For that,
Inukshuk.
you know that one famous one in
That
that spot?
Yeah, that one famous Inukshuk that's just in that one spot that's on the map, and then
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, take it back to London. Take back the Inukshuk to London.
The Inukshuk.
Yeah, damn, it'll give you extra something. I forget. It did something really stupid.
I don't even remember. I just remember it wasn't that useful.
Dene versus Dene totemism. Yep. Oh, there's more Inuit on the northwest corner. They're creeping all around the north edge of the map like the Warriors of Chaos, real quick.
I don't think they have the population for that.
Neither should the Warriors of Chaos. But here we are.
There's a difference. One's getting blessed by dark deities. The other are. I don't think the Inuit are getting blessed by the Inukshuk.
What do you think they're doing up there, man? You don't
I
think
don't
they're
know,
getting blessings by
hunting
the dark
seals?
deities? Yeah, it was nothing that interesting. It would be way more cool to imagine them getting blessed by dark deities in their igloos, though. Northwest Passage is the portal of chaos. Yes.
I mean, I don't think you'd be happy about it because you'd be right on the border of those guys.
You wonder what they'll do with Greenland. We've seen Greenland, Armos. Did you not know? We've seen Greenland
we've seen it.
ages ago. And it's full. It is full to the brim with narwhals. Oh my
Hate it
gosh.
so much.
Actually, it's not. There's two narwhal tiles, which I'll bring up as much as
I
I
hate you,
can
Joffrey.
because in the diary where they showed Greenland, they explained that yes, you get ivory from narwhals.
Get them from walrus.
Walrus.
So you can get narwhal ivory, but walrus are a far better source of it, and in fact, they were the primary source of it from the
Yeah.
Vikings.
I can't imagine it's very easy to get like hunt narwhals for the purpose of their horns.
But walrus are huge, slow, and gather in enormous groups.
Absolutely fucking massive groups. Based ceremonial. I like that ceremonial has the same color as Cahokia. Mixed bag. Eastern and Northern religions look more like the design we're aiming to achieve. On the other hand, to the south, you find the splinter animist religions based on cultures that we now want to group into bigger religions, more akin to the northern areas. Right? Oh god, raw materials. Oh god. It's all
What you
buffalo.
really thought?
It's all buffalo.
Wild game.
Always has been buffalo. Always will be.
And now
Trust.
we have maize, finally.
I like corn.
Alaska, nothing but fish, always has been.
Yo, they gave Alberta gold? What the fuck is this? Yo, why is there gold right next to my house?
King Joffrey.
Huh?
Start digging.
Yeah, it's been
guess.
waiting for you to get it.
Go get the
Jeez.
gold.
I want that. Yo. Damn, there's not much to talk about with this map. What the hell?
I don't think it should be producing so much cotton in the south yet because you couldn't really use the type of cotton that grew inland until the cotton gin. Because it was simply too tedious and too time consuming to get the seeds
You
out.
could use it, but it was on the way out until the cotton gin for that exact reason. Yeah.
Love
But
me
there was a form
Iroquois.
of like coastal cotton, but it was extremely coastal. Like I think it was almost essentially on the islands that were just off the east coast and at the very edges. You couldn't use the inland cotton really all that easily until the gin.
Love me Iroquois with their corns, bean, and squash. I think they're literally doing the classic Three Sisters corns, beans, and squash because they're giving the maize, legumes, and fruit. I think that's what they're trying to do. Because there's no other fruit that goes that far. Oh wait, the Huron get fruit. Damn, what's all this fruit for? The heck? Growing lots of apples or some shit. I guess. Yeah. Not enough sand. That's true. This whole time, all the sand is just in Mexico. The sand, there's a lot of sand in Mexico.
Duh. To be fair, there's sand in Florida.
Oh, there is. Right in the what is that place called? It's not the Everglades.
That's not okay. So the Everglades are there, but
Oh,
it's
okay.
like right next to the Everglades.
Compared to
The Everglades are
Phoenix.
essentially where the fish are on the southwest part. Although I
Gamalt.
think the Everglades were bigger at this point.
All right, Gamalt, but this place is just the steppe. Like out here, this is like all steppe. It's like what do you expect it to be? Is my question. And there aren't going to be any people like producing. I don't know. Ha. I think part of me is looking at this and thinking it's a more normal because I'm just like, well, I don't know what else they'd make, but there's so many resources in the game that I should logically be able to look at this and think of something else it should be making, right? Yeah. Like, I don't know. Mm,
Uh-oh, I think we're losing Joffrey.
am I back yet?
Okay, you're back. Yeah, you're good.
That's good. Okay, well, I'm looking back at Finland, and Finland's the exact same way. So never mind.
Or it's just
really.
all one resource.
It is just all wood with some fish. This doesn't even have wild game and fur, really.
Don't care us for the woods anymore.
What about France? Mm,
True, Armos, but it's also night.
huh?
Armos is saying that it's warmer where he is than it is us.
It's currently 0 degrees and not hamburger units.
Okay, maybe it is. Also, since he is further inland, whereas most of Finland is coastal, he will have less temperature fluctuation,
Makes
essentially.
sense. Damn. What the hell? No wonder
So
I
there
need
will
to wear my
be-
coat. It's minus 21 right now.
Oh, it's minus 19. Your computer says 19.
That's lying. Where does it say? Yeah, that's lying.
How do you know that's one that's lying and it's not your phone?
Because that thing there only updates like every few hours, or when I actually click on it, but I'm not clicking on it.
Don't trust it.
Buffalo Bills quarterback Josh Allen is his temperature. NFL Andy Reid talks about Chiefs controversial win. So yeah, okay.
Wow.
Great. We don't get a feedback for Finland yet. I thought we did.
No, we haven't had one for Scandinavia yet. We only just got the one semi-recently for the Baltic, which was Poland and such.
Yeah, Gimalt, looking back at some older stuff, you're right. It's really hard to look to find any places on the map and think, yeah, North America should have more of something. The only thing I can think of is like wood. I don't think that there's enough wood, but lots of the areas have trees, so you'll be able to make wood-producing buildings even if the RGO isn't lumber.
I am going to need to be heading out in a minute or two. So is there anything we want to hit before I have to dip?
Okay.
After this is the trade, which is not going to be surprising at all.
It's Cahokia.
Always has been. And then the population.
Broken map.
So, 20 million in the Western Hemisphere, roughly split evenly between North and South America. The problem is that they're going to split it further. They're going to split North and Central apart. And as you can see by the third bullet point, North America, if you don't count Central America, has only 1.5 of those 10.2 million. So Central America has so many more people than North America.
Yeah, 1.3 of that 1.5 million is on the East Coast too.
1.1.
1.1. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no one living in North America.
43,000 people living in Alaska is insane. There's no way. No way.
43,000 isn't a lot, Joffrey.
Bruh. 160K in Canada. We've only barely got more people than Louisiana. Fuck Louisiana. Fuck those guys. Should have given it back to the French. Sell it.
But they did give it back to the French.
America.
And then the French sold it.
America just having people sell them everything. Motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Why'd they everyone
was
sell you
given
shit?
to the French.
Imagine if people didn't sell America stuff, dude. Wouldn't it? What? Imagine if Louisiana was its own thing. How stupid that would have been.
It wouldn't have lasted.
Well, why not?
Because manifest destiny.
Yeah, true. That would have been an
It
interesting
didn't. It
war.
didn't have enough. It didn't have enough. It would have gone the way of Texas. Not enough people lived there for it to be an actually functioning country. American settlers would have gone there. Eventually, those American settlers would have pulled a Texas on it.
Yep. And on that lovely note, I need to be heading out. So
All right.
great talking to you guys.
Bye
Bye-bye.
bye. Good time. There won't be a Tinto map next week as it's a
Right.
bank holiday in Spain.
Let me
You're
see
great
when-
people. So the next one will be Central America on the 13th of December.
Ooh, this is actually only 12 years after Tenochtitlan was founded. So it exists in this start date. So we'll see it.
Ooh. It's pretty damn new, though. Tasty.
It is new, but it exists.
So the Aztecs and the Inca are both going to just be rising. They're going to have a century before Europeans start looking westwards. So they'll have a century to actually try and make themselves a society before those goons show up to give you smallpox. No Balkans feedback today. Is it a thing that's out? And you're asking if we can discuss
I
it?
think so, yeah.
Balkans feedback. Simply scrumptious. Vector did mention this. Vector said that the Thunderdome.
Yeah, that was the Inca
Moldavia.
Empire, but the Kingdom of Cusco was founded much sooner, Lame.
Oh, yeah,
Kingdom of Cusco was around 1200.
By the Inca getting started, I mean that Cuzco is getting started. It based on the map, it looks like it's going to have a unique faith. They're going to be just rising up, so they're going to be going through the process of subjugating and then converting everyone to sun worship. Sun God King. Yeah.
Yeah, if you look at at least the Wikipedia page, founded by the Incas around the start of the 13th century, grew into the Inca Empire in 1438. But the city of Cusco was already there.
Oh. Albania's split into some smaller states as well.
Mm-hmm.
This is giving me big validation for my own design philosophy mod-wise of making certain areas be a bunch of fractured parts of what would be one state. Goodness. Austria's no more divided in two. Oh yeah. The control system, no, actually, because in the HRE, control goes through. We know that control goes through other states in the HRE. That's one of the gimmicks of that international organization, is that your control goes through other people. But at the same time, it's not that odd to me that Austria would be connected like that. Well, Croatia is interesting to see. I don't think Croatia was there before. Damn, the Byzantines are kind of thick. The more I look at this, they have a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but
So it's now just blob of random dudes, all tribute to the Golden Horde.
Mm-hmm. Indeed they are. Locations, nothing really to say there. I don't know. It's locations. They've added some. I don't have any sort of investment of like, ooh, I can't wait to see if they did this or that.
wow!
Though it is. Yeah. It's crazy to see how they really did like EU5 is like the density, like it's got the same province density as Imperator, but it just covers the whole map now. That's the insane thing. Because like when I look at this and I see Byzantium, it's like, oh yeah, that's totally just one location, right? Yeah, okay, no, that's five. Five? Yes, five. Areas and Thrace. This is honestly, areas are one thing that I kind of have beef with the design. Yeah, they added 155, but I don't know what else. Like, what are you wanting me to open up the old map and then compare it to the
Yes.
new one and say, let's
Yep.
see,
Find
where
all
did the each and
155.
every one of the was 155 locations? Where are they all?
Find every single one, Joffrey.
But something that I kind of have beef with the way that they're designing this game's map on is how they're doing areas. Because northern Greece, Albania's in northern Greece. I kind of have beef with the way they're designing areas because areas are extremely important gameplay wise because most of the time, like a lot of things target an area or a province. And a lot like provinces are usually done pretty well, but sometimes areas are done in really weird ways where they're just extremely small. And that feels odd, and makes me think like it leads me to think that there will be situations. Oh God, my hiccups.
He's doing hiccups, boys.
It could lead to situations in the mid to late game where there are certain areas that are just objectively better than others as like to make super developed because you won't be able to target like some areas will just be smaller and you won't be able to make as good of use of your government actions because you'll have your ministers administering to an area and making it better for one reason or another and you just won't be able to do it over as much of an area, so it would just be inefficient, if that makes sense. Especially in Germany. There's some really weird areas in Germany. All right, here's the old one. Yeah, Albania was united. Croatia did exist. That's not new. It's so hard to figure out what they added, man. They didn't show areas on the first time around, huh? Right. So this is where the meat and potatoes are. Let's, glance at climate. I doubt they've changed that much. Show climate? There they did. There's some more oceanic in Greece. A lot more, actually. There's a lot more oceanic just around in general. Then they've added a lot more impassable mountains, so there's a lot more Arctic scattered around. That's interesting. Yeah, there's a lot more oceanic just scattered around. A lot more just divided in general, which is probably a good thing. Why hiccups now, man? They've added more plateau to Macedonia. And they've They made Thrace a little more flat. Also, because they changed marsh to wetland, now that they've changed that, made that change, there's a ton more wetlands in uh Hungary. In fact, that's crazy. Hungary's really wetland heavy, which is gonna make them a lot worse than they were gonna be. Yeah, yeah. You just commented on it. Yeah, Hungary is just wetlands now. Yeah, I can think of one particular Hungarian in our server, uh, who may he may when he sees that just laugh and go ho ho ho, ah, you don't understand, little man, or something. And say that it's really funny and accurate that it's all wetlands. Either that, or he would look at it and say that this is slander and that all of Hungary is fertile plains. That is, should all be
Well, except for
farmland.
Slovakia, which is infinite mountains of gold. But only when Hungary owns it.
True. True. And we'll get to that in a second. The farmland's a lot more centralized than it was in Hungary now. There's also a lot more woods. It's more trees. Not okay, there's more woods and less forest. Okay, that's interesting. I like this. I like this. There's also how did they adjust it? It's clear they've adjusted the farmlands in Greece. Yeah, they've moved shockingly. Constantinople and the area outside it are now farmlands. Whoa.
Wow.
Athens was and still is farmland. Development. You gonna show us that? All right. Natural harbors. Um, I could not see this coming at all. Thessalonica, Athens, and Constantinople are good harbors? They're the harbors? What? That's just silly. Imagining the Anbanar devs are looking at the divided terrain types in horror. Why would they be horrified by that? Doesn't that mean they can just have mushroom forest instead of woods on a tile? I would assume you'd have like, all right, so there's um flat land with mushroom forest. uh, uh, though by there's a risk that my own mod's gonna have more gonna have just a painful amount of custom terrain types. I don't know how the heck you get any assets for it. There's already going to be ice flow, for example, in the ocean. Alright. Wallachian has been split up now into Moldavian, and there's no guy. There's actually a lot of no guy in the southern coast of the Moldavian lands. And Slovak is bigger. There's also more of the Yas people. And the Serbs are creeping ever further into Hungary. Hmm. Also more Bulgarians in Serbia. And less Germans in Hungary, I think. Yes, less Germans in Hungary. Uh, there's more Transylvanians, and they're more centralized than they were. The Transylvanian Germans have stayed the same. Also, they completely removed the Rusine culture that was in northern and in northern Hungary and just added it to the Western Ukrainian culture, the Halician. Because there were two, yeah, there were two globs of it, and they just added it all to Halician. Fair enough. Maps require so much more detail, and they have to sort out what would be considered an urban terrain type. Oh, that's right. Ugh, I see. I have the same gripe with the urban terrain that Anbanar has that I do with farmland in EU5, where they're making it something that's like based on how developed the land is. If if you're going to be able to dynamically change the terrain type that someplace has, then I'd be somewhat in support of farmlands, less so in support of I don't think I'd ever be in favor of an urban terrain type though, because having an urban terrain type like I could hmm I could see the idea of the topography because you've got topography. Well, I like the only like justification I could see for urban as a terrain type, Gemalt, is when you take it into the context of now EU5 has different layers. So you've got like you could have because this means you would be able to have like flatland, marshland, mountains. You could make something become urban because it would become the topography where or the vegetation rather. I would make it specifically the vegetation where like the vegetation has been replaced with urban and the urban terrain would do something like make you produce a shit ton less food. It would make it basically useless for food once it's become an urban terrain type, but it would give you other bonuses. That would be the logic I could see in that. I don't but I still don't really like the idea. Yeah, we've seen that Johan is yeah, he's holding his breath to see if the technology gets there for dynamic changes to that. Uh, here is hoping that he gets that advanced tech because if we were able to dynamically change shit like that, it would open up so much stuff for modding. I would be so beyond happy. I'd be absolutely thrilled. Urban's not needed. The game already has towns and cities. You only see urban if it's a city with like 5 million people. Yeah. Hmm. Um, yeah, I do think I would. I mean, we'll see what Anbanar decides to do once Anbanar bends its mind towards EU5 more. One thing that I know about Anbanar, though, mind you, is that they're not going to be releasing the mod like they did the first one, where it started as because the first one started as a smaller project and they released it bit by bit, where they would focus on a region, and sometimes those regions didn't even have like sometimes the countries in those areas when they were added didn't even have flags or national ideas. So Anbanar for EU5 they've said that they want it to be like done. When they're releasing it, they want the whole map to be in and to have a bunch of flavor stuff in before there's any release of it. Um, but on the subject of urban terrain for them, yeah, I hope that they just leave it at cities and towns and leave that as the mechanic. Maybe if they were feeling spicy, they could add a like metropolis as a type. If they don't add metropolis as a type of thing you can upgrade cities to, then I'll do it. Because there's definitely a couple places that would be described as a metropolis in my own setting. Probably like 2 or 3 at game start in the whole map, though. Brings to question the role of mission. You'll be disappointed if dynamic tech doesn't come to be. Yes, it would be very sad if we can't see deforestation or regrowth. I mean, I doubt that regrowth would really be a thing that happens, but I could see that there could be a way to code it where it's like a flatland like a grassland could become well, I don't know. The point is like certain types of terrain could become woods, or maybe it would specifically be that the like woods could become forest again. Like if like you couldn't get woods back if you lose them. That's probably the best way of doing it. But if you had woods, then they could grow into forest again if they're left untouched for long enough, which could be pretty neat. And then if you deforest too much, then you'll just lose the trees like Athens did. It's like why Greece is so void of trees. Bring into question the role of mission trees because those are super important to the flavor of Anbar for individual nations. Yes, yes, it is, and that's something that I personally have been struggling a lot with when it comes to the design philosophy of my own project, because I know that there is a large portion, like a lot of people really like um the sandbox approach of the sandbox approach to Paradox Grand Strategy games, and I personally I like I'm gonna be playing a lot more Imperator for a while, honestly, because I'm very much enjoying my time with it. But Imperator's mission trees are like the perfect example of that, where even though they do give you bonuses, it's very rare that the bonuses that they give you are permanent. They're usually like sometimes it'll give a spot. It'll give like a place like a plus 10% um food production permanently, or like extra building slots for cities in that region. It's like things like that, where it's not like, oh, you press this button, now your country forever has plus 10% discipline. Good job. EU3 mission trees are better. EU4 agendas. I do like how, yeah, the summoning the diet in EU4 basically was their way of bringing back the old EU4 missions, which I mean weren't that great. But I've never played EU3, so I don't know what their missions are like. But I've seen people. I don't remember how people compare them. Imagine if EU5 have the same mission bonuses like Imperator, where you get a bunch of pops. Yeah, I kind of doubt. I don't know why, but I kind of suspect that they're not going to be having Imperator's system of yeah, having mission trees of, oh, subjugate this region. And then once you subjugate this region, by you build the Grand Theater, and then you get 3 pops of your culture and faith that just appear there. Whoa. Um, However, I expect, as much as I joke about that, I expect that to be the style of missions that they have. I expect them to have your generic mission tree for everyone of a certain culture, and it'll be like, okay, because they've explained like all people with English culture on the same missions, so you'll have like any English tags that exist or pop out will get these same missions, which will probably be focused around you unite the Isles, and then later on maybe you'll get some stuff that's like bonuses to going west. But I kind of suspect that it's more going to be a case of like people will have a lot of early game missions that are given to them based on their culture, but then the rest of them will just be dynamically generated based on the way that the game goes, where you'll just get new mission trees that you'll get to choose from, like the way that Imperator does it, that are dynamically generated and won't give you any permanent bonuses, but will just give you bonuses. It'll be a case of a dynamic mission tree appears based on a situation your country is experiencing. You can now take that mission, where as you complete that mission, which is you doing something you already wanted to do, you will then get bonuses associated with that thing that you wanted to do. Yeah, I think that's one of the things that's really I think that's one of the things that's really good about the way that Imperator's flavor works. Where I never feel, even like when I'm playing Imperator, if I look at a country that doesn't have a mission tree, I don't think, "Oh, I don't want to play them. I don't want to play that country," because they'll get missions too. They'll get missions as you play the game. You'll get, like, as you play and as you expand, you'll still have objectives and be like, "Oh, well, this new mission tree is unlocked because I'm conquering into this area." That's the big one. But Imperator didn't have enough time to cook. So they're going to have tons of time to make up new types of dynamic mission trees that'll pop up in EU5. We don't know enough about it yet. I don't know for certain that's how it's going to work because they've been very hush hush on missions, but we'll see in time. We'll see in time. There's a lot less Turks. Important thing to note before going on to religion. There's a lot less Turks in the West.
Good. We can start more. We can start more conflict in the chat.
And a lot more Turkomans. Whoa. There are so many more Turkomans. Most important, the Russian being Rusian being replaced by Halician, Moldavian being its own culture instead of. They're not mentioning the fact that they just stealthily like turned all of these major Turkish pops, minorities in the West into Turkomans, which is a huge change. That is huge. That is big implications for those Beyliks, because the Turkomans are primarily tribal pops that aren't going to be. They're not going to be chill. Like they're not going to fight in your armies and pay you taxes as much, for example. Languages. German language. Kipchak language. Alonic. Whoo. Gotta restore cumin. There's some Romanian language for those other cultures that we say there's a little bit of. I forget what they're called though. Aromanian. They're in the Romanian religion or Romanian language. Common language. Wait. Dominant language. Common language. What? Dominant language per location. We've not done the dialects. What's common language? The common language in each country. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Gallo-Italic. Wow, that's a strange language. Huh. There's an Occitan. And a French. Funny Crusaders. Alonic is an old fucking language. Yeah, those Cumans. Because those are Cumans, right? No, the Cumans are here. The Yaws. The Yaws are the ones who have the Alonic language. Holy. Whew. That is old. I guess Gallo-Italic. Yeah, Gallo-Italic would make sense as Cisalpine. Religions. Have they changed the religions at all, though? This doesn't look like they've changed it. Oh, Christiani got nerfed. Christiani was nuked into the ground. Holy. That's the main thing they did. They didn't touch the Paulicans.
Policians.
See, I started saying Paulicians, and then I corrected myself. Because I knew you'd say that.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you did.
What is that?
What?
What's that color? Oh, that's
It's
just
the cool
more.
kid.
It's more of the Bogomil. It's just because of what it's overlaying, it looks different. Shiites. There's actually a lot of Shiites in Anatolia too. Interesting. I just realized they changed the color of Shiite. The world is saved. I don't know what they changed. I'm not delving into all those things they changed. Carpathian Balkans feedback, yes. Russia feedback, whatever. Oh God, that's the way the Greeks call Constantinople dynamically. Oh God.
Constantinopolis.
Oh, court
City of
language.
Constantine.
Oh yeah, Latin. I wasn't even thinking about that. Yeah, they use Latin as their court language in Poland too. Hmm. I don't know what the history behind that is, but that's pretty neat. I'm curious if the Teutons use Latin as their court language or if they use German. Because they're a holy order, but they're very explicitly a Germanic holy order. And they wrote everything down in both German and Latin. So hard to say. They changed. Wait. They changed Naples' color? Huh? Did I not notice? Naples. It's the same color. Huh? Yeah, I'm not reading through this. Oh, not doing this now. Not when we're at the 2 hour mark. When you're a French guy inheriting Hungary and decide that using a dead language is easier than learning the friggin' Hungarian, yeah, obviously. That's the correct way to do it. And then you need to. It's a map on page. Oh. Oh, okay. Well, I'll go take a look at that then. It's blue. Huh. I mean, that is a good idea because it looked too similar to Byzantium. And they have competing spheres of influence, so yeah, this is better. This is a lot better, honestly. Hmm. But now I want to do. I'm gonna have to look through a little bit of these comments before we stop. I'm getting very eepy, but
Yeah, and you got some stuff to do tomorrow.
I have some stuff to do. Hmm. Earlier design when we didn't even have societies of pops. Sources of information for other cultures to be helpful. And yes, I'd like to portray the oh God, the decline of Cahokia. Oh God. Oh, that's interesting that they would be, yeah, they'd be thinking about making Cahokia turn into a society of pops. Hmm. Hmm. I wonder what error, because yet they do say fixing. I wonder what error caused Texas to be so small. It's weird. Can't have been an error. They must have just done it. Hmm. Yeah, well, we'll see. Whenever societies of pops receive their full mechanics, I'm scary. Obviously, there's got to be some Blackfoot feedback comments. Obviously.
Surely.
Yeah.
Everyone loves the Blackfoot.
Everyone loves them just as much as me, obviously.
No. No, they don't.
There's so many Albertans online. Oh my goodness, there's so many Armaws. What do you mean? I don't know where all you Finns come from, though. What the hell? Hmm. Hmm. The names of areas are static. Huh. Yeah. Fair enough. I guess. Yes, I have heard that the time frame was confirmed to be 1837, yeah. Hmm. Hmm. Dead end locations. New Brunswick. Don't care. The Micmac aren't playable. Don't care. Hmm. Hey, Quebec gets a natural harbor now. Ooh. Wider political map with shots of all the North American continent.
SMH, and we don't get to see Mexico yet. They cut it off just in the right spot.
How devious. I do love it. The only three nations in North America. Well, okay. There's a few of them. But like you have Greenland. Whoa. The pillar. The pillar of society right there.
It is. Look at how big the Hudson Bay is and how many sea tiles it is.
Pretty
I
big.
can't wait to see all the epic naval warfare that will happen between the many tribes on its coast.
Including Cahokia. So the person says really disappointing and then also says including Cahokia is a debatable choice. uh... If Cahokia makes the cut, then some states. Okay. That's interesting. This person is being extremely negative and not providing feedback beyond saying, this was bad, you should have done this. But, you know,
Should have done this is feedback.
yeah, yes, but they're not providing the information other than just, I don't know. I guess it's more their attitude. Their attitude is just kind of off-putting. Hmm. Prefer the natural geographic look for areas than the one based on colonial borders. Huh. I do. I like the natural geographic borders if it was consistent. I do not like the fact that the West is not colonial borders, but the East is. I think it looks really weird. It feels quite strange to me that that is the case. Especially since for me, my province isn't mapped, but others are. It's just because well, mine was done later, so I'm just in the nebulous area that's just like it's just mapped however. Hmm. Hmm. Okay, they will include the Caribbean at the same time as Central America. That makes sense. Good. Ah, yes, non-livable or non-crossable by an army areas. What bullshit. What fucking bullshit. What parts of Nova Scotia are impassable by an army? Like, well, yeah, there's this dude. This is the exact same situation. He's like, what the hell is this supposed to represent? It's just there.
Cope.
It's not that
It's
there's
coping.
mountains. I'm not coping. I'm bitching. I am pissed the fuck off. I'm not coping. There is no
Oh,
forgiveness here.
okay.
I'm just pissed the fuck off. It makes no
So,
sense. They've
so
done it
you've
for no
passed the
reason.
coping stage. Would you say you're at either the seething or the molding stage?
There's no reason that they've made them this way. Other than from a purely gameplay like standpoint of, we don't want them to have as many locations, so we'll just like those areas. It's trees. It's non-livable or non-crossable by an army, so you just can't march an army through there. Mhm. What does that mean? Non-livable. Non-livable, not crossable by an army. It's not like it's a fucking mountain, and they've made all of the Canadian Rockies hills. It's just right next to the North Shore of the Great Lakes. Hmm. Hmm. Big challenge for them to make Cahokia playable. Yeah. Hmm. They're extra cautious with everything Society of Pops related. That makes sense. I mean, they're when they add Societies of Pops, it's a big deal for gameplay because those societies are capable of reforming into feudal realms. Not well, I mean, yes, eventually, but the point is they're capable of centralizing and actually being countries on the map. So, hmm, other, yeah, yeah, just no. There's just no societies that pops on the West Coast. Just not explaining why, but yeah, they've got their reasons. Hmm. Oh boy. I Yeah, there is a lot of grievances that I have with this map, as you all can tell. At the same time, it's the best way they've represented Canada in any game. It's the least horrible way. In fact, it's passable. It's really stupid in some ways, but at the same time, I mean, there's a lot of permafrost in Ontario, so I could see the logic. Uh, the only thing that's just like I, ugh, I don't know what to think about the Societies of Pops, where if they, because I want like that. This is the tough thing, you know. It's like I want to play as a Pacific tribe. I want to be able to play as a Salish person and unite that really great bay. It's a fantastic bay. But just I don't know if they're gonna do that. Also, really, again, yeah, I really dislike that they made all of the BC's mountains into hills. But uh, hmm. No, the Blackfoot not being playable is something that um I realistically like I'm gonna comment on and try to convince them to add them as a societies of pops, but if even if they don't, I'm sure it's something that can get addressed later once they actually make societies of pops playable, because due to the fact that they aren't gonna be playable yet, it's gonna be a very touch and go thing, I imagine, where they really aren't going to be able to make anything concrete. But I'm going to try my best to convince them. I the but the big thing, the the big thing that really annoys me is these wastelands. There's so many of them that are just here, and it's like, listen, I don't like Ontario. I have personal reasons I don't like Ontario, but in game, I have no idea why Ontario and Quebec are just like horrible. These are abysmal territories. This land is just all full of huge wastelands that you have to navigate through choke points in. It's like as if walking around Canada, it's like, oh, you better not step over there. Don't step
It's
off
so
the
great,
path.
isn't it?
Don't step off the path. You'll fall off the glacier into the big old pit that's over there. Or oh, it's really the marsh is too dense here. It's not like this is like all like impassable marsh terrain, or it's impassable mountains, or it's impassable glaciers, or anything of the sort. It's eh, just is impassable hills, impassable flatland. Mm, just, no. No, realistically, what it is, Gemalt, is that I'd make a mod and then play the mod when I want to play them. But they're not going to be playable on release. Like societies probably aren't going to be playable on release anyway, so it wouldn't matter. Ugh. Well, in any case, that is enough me being disappointed.
Coping.
I suppose we can end it there then.
We could probably wrap it up. I do sort of agree with that one guy though. We could maybe see some of the successor states around Cahokia.
Do you know about that history?
It did sort of fall apart and fracture. It wasn't like this was after it had just gotten destroyed by droughts. It
Hmm.
shouldn't be as big as it is.
Well, I I suppose then. Hmm. It would probably be more interesting if it was split up for the purpose of the successor states existing, and then I don't. Would they even want to reform Cahokia? Hmm. The thing, I wouldn't want them to just be like. I think. It could be interesting to have it on the decline and have it smaller, but it's already going to be so weak, you know? Hmm. So is it more interesting to have a bunch of successor states that aren't like without like
I mean,
penalties to being weak, or is it more interesting to have
it'll
it
be extremely boring otherwise.
no matter what? It would be really boring, yeah.
Because there's just nothing going on there.
I see there's a question, why are societies of pops not playable when banks are? Well, that's because banks, the entire gameplay loop is making buildings and then getting people to pay you money. But societies of pops don't build anything. So it's really difficult to make them like a valuable addition to the game in regards to player choice. All they do is sit there and research tech and steal pops from other people. Uh, but with that, I think we'll wrap this up. Saturday building. I was thinking about looking at the Saturday buildings. 23rd of November, 2024. I suppose you mean the Port Authority? Yeah. I don't think there were any comments on this last I looked. Oh, there's a lot of comments that have been made on here. Last one for Port Authority? Or no, just okay. Well, 2 locations. If you build a Tailor Guild in both locations, would be the equivalent of level 2 Tailor Guild. Well, yeah, because when you upgrade it, quote unquote, it's just you building more of the building. Yeah, second identical building. Again, same question. There's so many times that Johan has needed to say, that is not how trade works in Project Caesar.
We want it to work that way, though. Yeah, the hopping,
Hmm.
but does not now trade works in. Okay, that grammar almost gave me an aneurysm.
Yeah, but that is him just saying that's not how it works. This is yeah.
I was like, am I having a stroke?
Yes,
When I read
apparently you are. If you, as the mighty Majapahit Empire, manage to lose actual territory close to your market to, let's say, Florence, without them being a far mightier empire than you, it sounds rather unlikely. Anyway, if a Florence manages to have merchant capacity and a trade center close enough to trade with, let's say, Malacca, which is probably somewhere in India or maybe the Horn of Africa if it's mid-game, even then, it's a few factors that make it very unlikely to be bad for you. They need to have a higher merchant power / trade advantage in your market, which relies almost 99% on infrastructure in that market, an infrastructure that you can destroy if conflicts arise. The goods they can get access to that you don't have capacity or interest to export will get a higher demand, driving prices up, making your locations richer, and you can earn more taxes. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. The only way that they would make money from the only way that so like they would want to have like trade power in the area so that they can get cheaper goods because they have to go through less middlemen to get the same goods. but it would still make you money. It would still make you the same amount of money regardless. In fact, even more if more people are buying your shit. But the way that they would make money, the most money, and you would lose money is if they took important trade locations from you and then develop their infrastructure, so they would both be able to have more control over the market and they would be making more money from the goods being sold. But that ain't likely to happen. So any of those buildings that they make in your country, you can just blow up if you don't like them. How do resources move between markets? Resources only move between markets. There's no national stockpile at all, only a market stockpile. Locations buy and sell in their own market in order of trade access in the market. Yep. People with more access get priority picks. It's self-explanatory in this case, but can you put an icon to show? It's a coastal port building. Yes. Okay, this is a big fucking comment. What was it? Not just for a building, but in general. One for each A's are completely different depending on building. The amount of levels is depending on total population, building category, development, advances, etc. Just taking numbers of thin air. Workshop is an early type. An early game production building like Saltpeter Workshop, let's say, has like 5 levels of base. So for every +1, this sounds like something I read. I read this already. I read this comment already, yeah. Because this is the one where they talk about we had a big old conversation on stream about the fact that they didn't used to give you extra capacity for shit based on population, but then they got to China and India, and suddenly they had just tons of people with like nothing that they could work on, and it felt really weird that you couldn't have higher infrastructure in those places. So yes. All right. I need to go to sleep. I'd love to stay up. I'd love to stream Imperator now, but I don't think that's a good idea. I think I need to sleep because I am tired. Um, so stretch. I'm just gonna uh, have to make peace with the fact that they didn't consider the Blackfoot to be worth actually making societies of pops. Despite the fact that they later on end up being the last native tribe to resist European colonialism. But fine, whatever. It's not like I'm that upset about it or anything. But for now, be ending this here. I thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you next time.
Remember to like, subscribe, ring that fucking bell.
Bye bye.